Hi there and welcome. This is Allison Buckland and I am leading Team Possible. We are on a mission to raise money and bring awareness to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I am representing the Maryland chapter for their Man and Woman of the Year fundraising campaign. And through these efforts, I am connecting with individuals who have been affected by cancer to learn their stories, to see the work that has transpired from their journey, and to bring hope and inspiration to the world, as well as positivity. And I am grateful to be speaking today with someone who I got connected with through the work that I've been doing, and it's just been interesting to find out where this journey is leading both myself and to see the journey that others have made as well. And so I can't wait to sit down and to talk with our guest today. And so I'll let you introduce yourself, Erik, but just please share with the world who you are, where you're from, and how your life has been affected by cancer.
Okay, so well, thank you, and I appreciate all that you're doing as part of the Man and Woman of the Year program and working with LLS. They're a terrific organization. Allison, my name is Erik Sauer. I am a cancer survivor of about 12 years now. In 2008, I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. At that point in time, I had a 4.5-year-old son, and my wife was 9 months pregnant with my second son. So the good news is they're 16 and 12 today, and I'm healthy. Back then, it was a little tenuous. I had my diagnosis and needed a bone marrow transplant. Kind of don't pass go, don't collect your $200 until you get your bone marrow transplant. And that's what happened. So in November of 2008, there was a 19-year-old woman in Germany whose bone marrow matched mine. It was flown across the Atlantic, driven up I-95. Probably parked somewhere in East Baltimore and brought into my hospital room at Johns Hopkins. I received that bone marrow transplant about 9 p.m. on the 18th. Spent the better part of the next 6 months recovering, lots of fits and starts. You know, when you don't have an immune system that's working, you tend to find a lot of illnesses. So it was kind of practice for this lockdown, I should say. I was in quarantine for the better part of a year. So, but I did recover. Kind of gained my strength back, and when I found my footing again, I started an organization called There Goes My Hero.
Oh my goodness, and I can't wait to hear more about that. And thank you for sharing your story and your journey. I'm just so glad that you're here today. I'm sure so many people are glad that you are here today. What is one type of blessing or advice that you could offer those who are impacted?
Sure. I mean, specifically people that have cancer or are going through the treatments, you end up kind of living in this momentary place where one day you're fighting a fever, the next day you might have a rash, the next day you might feel great, the next day you might have another fever, and it becomes this kind of appreciation of the moment and kind of living in taking what you can get, right here and now. And that's something that I think about often, even 12 years later, and it kind of gets you through, one day to the next, even if it's a bad day at work or a great day at work. Nothing's really ever as good or as bad as it seems, and just kind of use that perspective to kind of keep plowing through my days.
I think we could all use that type of advice. And you mentioned that. I mean, I know in listening to you share that, that's great advice, to just be present in the moment and just be grateful for what we have. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think we're living in this time right now with quarantine and questioning the future and do I do this? Do I do that? How am I feeling? Where are we moving forward? I think coming back to that, let's just be present in the moment, right? Great advice.
Yeah, and you just think about the things that, if it's later on today, I need to go for a walk, and that gets me out of the house and it makes me feel a little better. You do those things, and if I need to buckle down and work, you do those things. And you just, don't put things off, and don't procrastinate, and just, do the good things and the hard things.
Take action.
Yep.
Take action,
Yep.
inspired action for sure, for what
Yep.
you need personally to clear your mind, or to, advance your life and your day forward for what you need to do. Great advice. Two parts to this question. First, I'd love to know, what's one thing you'd like to champion about the work that LLS is doing specifically? But also, I want to know about the work that you and your organization are doing, because I think it ties so much with not only blood cancer patients, leukemia, lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's disease, and what they're doing, but also with donors, with stem cell and the registry. So could you tell me a little bit more about the work that LLS is doing, and that There Goes My Hero as well?
So LLS, I mean, that's honestly, it's very easy. They're a fairly sizable organization. And as I went through my process, I was connected with LLS, but I was also connected with a lot of doctors at Hopkins. And in the connection with the doctors from Hopkins, you certainly then hear about, all the money and support that LLS puts into their research. So that's super duper important. And it's not, it's hard to fund. These are large projects and large scale institutions with lots of technology and equipment, and they need to have the funding that comes from organizations like LLS. Additionally, from, on the patient level, one of the things that I found really, really supportive was that they connected me with a patient who had gone through the same experience. So when I was diagnosed, they connected me with another man who had been through the experience 3 years ahead of me. And just being able to talk to him and pick his brain and understand that there's another side to this. So not only did that help me, but it also gave me kind of this concept of how can I do this for others. So myself, I started this organization called There Goes My Hero. And the primary thing that we do is we register bone marrow donors. But similarly as what that man did for me back in 2008, I also connect with other blood cancer patients. So I'm friends with a whole host of people in and around Baltimore, many of whom are still with us, a couple who have passed, who I've kind of mentored through the process as well. Day to day, though, what we're doing is we're registering bone marrow donors. We have a project right now called Coloring the Registry, and we're trying to bring some diversity, some ethnicity, African American, Asian American, or doesn't even need to be American, frankly. We're just trying to bring representation to the bone marrow registry. I have of Northern European descent. My donor was from Germany. I'm very lucky in that there's a large pool of people for me. There are other people of different ethnicities who are not as fortunate, and that's what we're trying to change by registering people of different ethnicities through our foundation.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's something that someone can do to give back, and to because you never know when you're going to get the call, whether, or if you're going to be diagnosed with cancer. We all know people who are affected by cancer, whether that's us and that comes into our life, or it's somebody in our lives. Like for me, it's my mother-in-law, who also is a survivor of AML, and she had her perfect donor, who I've shared their story. But it's something that we can do to give back. I know with your organization specifically, that's where I was at an event last summer, and we were both exhibiting at that event. That's where I got swabbed. And so now I'm part of the registry because of There Goes My Hero that's there. So for somebody who's watching this video right now, and I'll make sure that I tag your organization in the copy, how can they add themselves to the registry through your organization?
Yeah. So we work with a larger organization that's domiciled in Germany, and they also have a New York office called DKMS. So they're the ones that actually process the bone marrow swabs. So we help facilitate the actual swabbing itself. That's getting people to take that Q-tip and rub it on their cheek and essentially capture some of their DNA. Right now, with the whole COVID lockdown thing, we are not doing drives in the traditional sense, but we are doing virtual drives. So we'll partner with DKMS. if someone's interested in joining the bone marrow registry, we'll connect them and make sure they get a kit in the mail. There's easy instructions that'll come with it. You'll swab your cheek with a couple, they're essentially a Q-tip. You'll get your DNA, and then you'll put it in an envelope, and it'll get sent to DKMS and be put into the International Bone Marrow Registry. It's actually fairly easy. And once this whole COVID thing, hopefully winds itself down, we'll start doing the bone marrow drives again. We do them at events all over the region, and we do it in schools and businesses, and we try to get people, the younger 18 years old to 55. We try to get people on the younger side.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you for being here and sharing your story. I'm so grateful that we've connected, and to be able to give that hope and inspiration and give a way for human beings to be able to contribute to making the world a better place, especially for cancer patients. I know we're all affected in one way or another. And for anyone who would like to get involved with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and the Man and Woman of the Year campaign, I will put a fundraising link to my page in this copy of this post, in this video, and welcome any support that you can give. No donation is too small as we work towards finding a cure for blood cancer. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Thank you again, Erik, for your time.
All right. Thank you.